You ever think about how easy it is to follow the wrong voice? A whisper in the dark can sound like a revelation when you're lost enough. And sometimes that whisper becomes a scream. I am Detective Drayk, and this was the closest I ever came to staring evil straight in the eyes and seeing it smile back. It began in the desert, middle of nowhere, California. Sun bleeding into dust. A commune. No walls, no rules. Just a rusted-out school bus, a few tents, and people who didn't blink anymore. They called it home. They called him their teacher, their voice, their father. But behind their cracked smiles and vacant eyes, there were bodies buried. And I don't mean metaphorically. The first body I saw was staged like a message. Arms folded across the chest, lips sewn shut with guitar strings. A Bible scorched beside him, every page burned except one, Matthew 10:34. I come not to bring peace, but a sword. Creepy, sure. But it wasn't just a kill. It was a ritual, a performance. Someone wanted us to look deeper. We traced him back to a man who wasn't even trying to hide. He played music in underground bars, charisma bleeding from every note. Young, starved runaways clung to his words like scripture. And when I met him, he never once blinked. Just stared at me, tilted his head and said, "You're looking for monsters in a mirror, detective. The real horror's behind you." I didn't flinch, but something about him was off. Not wild, no, controlled, calculated, like he was 3 steps ahead of his own followers. A spider admiring his own web. By the second body, I knew this wasn't about murder. It was about message. They wanted to ignite something. Revolution, maybe. Chaos, definitely. Victims weren't chosen at random. They were symbols. Enemies of the awakening, they called them. And this wasn't one killer. This was a family, not bound by blood, but belief. It was around then I started wondering, how do you prosecute an idea when the blade isn't held by a hand, but by a doctrine whispered from one lost soul to another? And now, I want to pull you into this. Yeah, you've been here with me, seen what I've seen, smelled the desert rot, and tasted the tension in every lie they told. So let me ask you something. If you were in my shoes, would you chase the leader, or save the followers first? Drop your thoughts. Your instincts might help crack something I missed. Because when you're staring down a cult, sometimes it's not the leader who pulls the trigger. We finally closed in on the compound. Night raid. No lights. Just breath and gunmetal and the silence of people who'd stopped fearing death. They didn't resist. They didn't scream. One girl, maybe 17, looked at me and said, "We're already free. You're the one still in chains." That haunted me. He, the so-called prophet, went down without a fight. But his eyes were still smiling, like he'd already won. I asked him one question. Why? He said, "Because obedience is the deadliest drug, and I was the needle." People ask me what justice looks like in cases like this. I don't know. Prison bars can't undo mind control. Trials can't reverse ideology. Sometimes all you can do is make sure the next whisper dies in the dark before it becomes an anthem. So if you're still here, if this case pulled you in and kept you breathing through the tension, well then, congratulations. You're the kind of mind I like around. Smart, sharp, not easily fooled. Which means you're probably smart enough to do the right thing. Tap that like button so I know you've got taste. And hit subscribe before the next case finds you first. You never know when the next file might land on your desk. And me, I'll be here, still chasing the silence behind the screams, still asking questions most people are too afraid to answer. Because in the end, it's not about catching killers. It's about understanding what makes people follow them.